Hey, hey, hey.
How are you today?
Good. Um, just having some computer issues. I don't know what's going on. So if I'm a little herky jerky for some reason, or
Do you
if you
need me
can't
to
hear,
drive? Do you need me to
uh,
drive today?
I think I'm okay. We'll,
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If
Okay.
you lose me, then
No, that's fine. This is a subject I know a lot about, so I'm good if I lose you. And you've held down the fort while I've been out traveling, so which was great, by the way. Uh,
yeah. So you've been doing video. I know. I think that maybe the last of the video that we're doing this year. Is that right?
yeah, we have to like do all the editing, so I want to make sure people don't get expectations set, and those expectations don't get met. So we limited to what we're doing every year so that we can make sure we do it on both ends, the shooting and the editing. So that's where
Absolutely.
we are. Yeah, yeah, we're having a great
Yeah.
time. It's a lot of fun. Just I love getting out and meeting clients. I mean, that's a wonderful part of it. But also just watching Amanda and Jonathan work together is also really fantastic. So they're really good. It's great when you go out and you don't have to tell them nothing. I mean, really, I don't have to say anything. It's fantastic. So
Yeah. Well, I've seen some of the footage, just the raw footage, and I'm impressed. So, looking forward to seeing some of the final products up on websites.
hey, Mr. Stoner's on today.
Hey, cool.
Hello. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Linda, thank you very much for the thumbs up. That's fantastic. We're glad everybody is here. And let's jump into this. Bart says, SpamBrain. Uh-oh. Now you have my attention. Yeah, this is something that is really new. It's something, well, actually, it's not new, but it's something that they don't talk about very much. And we want to make sure that we talked about it. So, everybody is always really concerned about spam, as they should be. They absolutely should be. But there's several different kinds of spam. So, this spam brain is really working in search. I mean, that's where a lot of the progress that they've made is actually in search. So we're hoping that at some point they're going to turn some of this technology and look at maps as well, because I'm telling you, maps is another problem where it is. But we're going to be talking about spam in search today. So, Carter, you ready? Let's go.
Let's do it. So, the thing I love about this conversation is it gets really kind of geeky talking about the artificial intelligence that Google has created in order to deal with this. It's almost an overwhelming problem. And to hire enough eyeballs and train people to look for spam and spot it, find it reliably, and mark it as spam and delete it from the index. I mean, I think there's billions of websites in the world that Google indexes, and out of those billions of websites, there's probably trillions of pages. I mean, just incredible amount, and it'd be an impossible job for a team to really try to stay on top of. So it's the perfect job for artificial intelligence. The thing that makes artificial intelligence work, as I understand it, is like a huge data set, just a big chunk of data, and you throw it all into the AI. The AI cranks through it looking for patterns, and because of the way that it learns, its neural network kind of way that it learns, it becomes even better at finding spam than human beings could ever hope to be. And I mean, it's a highly specialized AI, right? That's all it does. That's all it knows how to do. You feed it websites and it finds the spam, and it does it incredibly well. So we've seen a lot of advances like this. Google calls it SpamBrain. That's the name they've given their AI that does all of this, which I think is kind of funny. But I mean, just in the last decade, Google has really focused on getting rid of this spam. And in the last decade, they found this 200 times more spam sites last year than in all of the previous decade. And that's actually 6 times more spam sites than the previous year. So between 2020 In 2021, it was a 6x increase in the number of spam sites that they were able to catch. So huge progress. We are seeing a change in search results. We are seeing a lot of the spam that some clients in some areas were having to fight against just disappearing from search results altogether. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, and the thing that I really like about what Google's doing here is this is like a major push for them. So even though it's been working in the background for the last 10 years, they have spent a lot of time and effort on this. And so it's exponential now. So it's catching a lot of things that it never caught before. I mean, I used to be able to go in and pull up searches, and some of the just, I mean, I'll just say it's crap that comes up on a legitimate search was just almost overwhelming at times. And so Google saw the problem, and like I said, I'm hoping they're going to be tackling that in Maps and some of the other places that spam is kind of running rampant. But this was an interesting thing. They're actually saying that right now they're keeping searches about 99% spam free, which is, I mean, that's monumental. I mean, it's really, really good. Why is that so important, though? That's what a lot of people say is like, great, Google's on it, yada yada, blah blah blah. But here's the reality, guys and gals. Google has to protect search quality and user safety. If every time that the quality of search is below average, or the users, and we're going to get in that a little bit deeper here in a minute, the users feel like they're being manipulated by spammers, then that right there is going to keep people from using their product. And Google is like every other business. Everything they do is about making sure their customer feels safe, heard, known, protected, the whole 9 yards in search, because there's so much crap around search right now. So just understand user safety is huge. 40% reduction in spammy results. So that's the algorithm that when they changed it in 2020, it was a 40% increase. So that learning on top of learning is really important. And I think, Carter, that's the way AI learns, right? They learn something and then they go to the next level, and it just kind of speeds through, which is what
it takes a while for it to take the data set and learn from it and discover. It has to be taught. I mean, just like think of a bank teller that goes to work on day one, it needs to be trained to spot counterfeits. Anybody that passes money to a teller, that teller has to be able to examine that currency and decide which, if any of those bills might be counterfeit. And there's a whole training process that they go through, but eventually it becomes second nature and almost intuition. They can just hold a counterfeit bill and immediately know this is counterfeit. We don't fully understand how artificial intelligence does what it does. And by that, I mean, of course, I don't understand it. But
I don't need it. If you don't, I don't.
Right. But the scientists that created it don't even completely understand how AI does what it does. Which can be a little bit spooky, but it's a kind of a black box. You give it a way of understanding something and a way to learn, and then just let it go. And it creates its own algorithms and its own way of doing it, but it can't always describe what that way is. So we can't reverse engineer what it was that they were doing to understand logically how it got there. Whereas if you were to write the computer program and just tell it how to do every step that it needs to do, you would understand exactly how it arrived at its conclusions. So AIs are, I mean, it's intelligent. It's artificial intelligence, but it's designed to learn and to take data and decide for itself what's spam, what's scam, what's not. So
and I'm going to interject something here because I think this is important. One of the major ways that the SpamBrain does this is through linking. So, I get this question a lot. Hey, somebody's wanting to do a guest post and link back to the site. Is that allowed? Well, yeah, it's allowed. It doesn't do you any good. But if they're linking from or to a spam site, that's a problem on your website. And most of those people, that's what they're doing. So it's just not worth it. It's not going to help you anyway. So why do it and take that risk? Because now we know that the SpamBrain is out there looking at these spammy links. Same deal if you're going to buy a link. They know where you purchase links. They know what a link farm is. They know what a link wheel is. I mean, I can go one of these days. I mean, I could teach a class on just the linking that you should not ever do. And so this machine is out there picking these links up and basically killing all of them. So if you've done everything white hat, you've done it by the book, you're getting your links naturally, all the things that really SEO is about, then you should be fine and not have to worry about it, because the link profile is a really major ranking. It's just a ranking signal. And I've heard more over and over and over again that yes, there's 300 or 400 ranking signals, but everybody seems to think the link profile is weighted a little bit differently. So that's really, really important to know.
So just real quickly, because I imagine there's people that'll watch this that say, my site's fine, my site's legitimate, I designed it myself, or I had it designed by a company, and it's everything's above board and good. So why are you telling me all about this? Like, why does it matter? Well, the thing is that these spammers, in order to do what they're trying to do, they hack websites all the time. And they hack it for one reason, just to add their spam links to your content in a way that doesn't necessarily make your site look any different than it looks, but in places tucked in throughout the copy, or in places that may even be invisible to you, it's linking to all of this spam. And it can tank your website. It can cause other people to stumble across links that if they were to click them, it could lead them right into phishing territory and scams and malware and all sorts of nasty stuff. So part of the reason that this matters is Google is interested in protecting its users from the safety issues of this spam. And really, that's what it comes down to is, it's a big threat to online safety. So by being proactive and finding it even before we find it, even before a site owner finds it, because it doesn't take the site down altogether. So Mark's asking the question, what are they trying to do? They're linking to places to buy online pharmaceuticals overseas. They're linking to sex websites and porn. They're linking to, online betting and dark web kind of places. They're trying to use your site to bolster their SEO because of all of the links that they've added to your website, linking to their website. They're hoping that the strength of your website will drive strength to their website through those links. And in the past, it's been effective and it has worked, but they're just they're creating a literal army of servers that serve their purposes, and their purposes aren't always known. Ultimately, if you land on some of these websites that are being linked to, then their purpose is very clear. It's to lock up your computer with malware or ransomware and make money directly, exploiting you or the end user who clicked on the link, to try to exploit or extort money out of them. So that's the kind of stuff that Google is catching. I mean, it's hacked and it's gibberish kind of stuff that they're looking at, but it's I'm glad. This is one of those areas where sometimes I feel like we work against Google. Like, we're constantly fighting all of the changes and stuff, but this is one of those areas where Google's got our backs, got your back, and is really providing a huge service.
So Bart is asking, are there any enhanced tools deployed for those of us that are on the paying side of the Google suite?
Enhanced in like extra things that you can install or pay for. I'll say this: if you're using Google Suite just for the spam in your inbox, which is kind of a different thing than what we're talking about here, And it could be that SpamBrain is evaluating those messages as part of its data set and kicking out spam in your inbox. Now that's something that Google's been very interested in since the beginning of email, since they were in the email game. And I think that probably SpamBrain is involved in that. But specifically what we're talking about here today is like the website side of it. When your site gets hacked by a spammer who is using it to distribute its links. I'll say this though, for my money, Google has the best spam filters I've ever seen. They have fewer false positives and more success in stripping out spam than any other company's spam filters I've ever seen. And it's free. I mean, it's just a part of your account. So if you're using it for your domain, then you know what you're paying per user for that to be there and for that to work. But it's incredibly, incredibly effective.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. One of the things that happens, because Terry mentioned white hat, black hat. So a lot of these people that are doing this, that are trying to overcome Google's attempts at spam and trying to kind of get to the bottom, the bottom feeders, I call them, they're really a black hat organizations. But links are really important. So if they can just get 2 or 3% through, they're actually bolstering their websites. So the fact that Google is saying that they're blocking 99%, that's a really good percentage to me. I was really shocked when I read it. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because what Carter said, a lot of times we feel like Google's the enemy, but in this particular thing, I think Google's doing a really good job here. And we're seeing it over and over and over. But we do still go on sites that, even though Google's doing a good job, does not stop them from putting the stuff on there. I want to make that clear, because just because they may be stopping it, Google still sees it on your site and it bogs your site down. So that's why it's so important to keep your site clear, to make sure that you have protocols that go through your site and do the things on your site and make sure that stuff is clean and ready to go right now. And that's a really important thing, because we have taken on people, and before we ever move them to our servers, Fred goes through them. And I mean, he's found porn sites, he's found pages where you can't even see what it is, but he's seeing all these links flying everywhere, and he backs it up and it's a blank page to the eye, but all the text is white. So it's white on white and you just don't see it. So there's a lot of stuff like that happens. And that's why it's really important to keep your website as clean as possible and your link profile really clean. So we work a lot on that. And this is something we don't talk about it much, because it's hard for me to tell you how to prune a link profile, and and it's really boring, guys. It's kind of like, I don't know, parging a chimney is more exciting than link profiling. I'm just telling you. It's like watching chalk. What is it? The nails on a chalkboard or something. It's not that fun to talk about. Certainly not that fun to do. But it's something that's really imperative and helps. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. So how does SpamBrain actually reduce the effects of ranking manipulation, Carter?
Well, so it's not only looking for the obvious spam link kind of stuff, but it's also looking for sites that have been created specifically to send links to a legitimate website to try to boost its credibility. And they'll write low quality articles that's just, blog posts that are 250, 300 words. And it's obviously written by, someone overseas, or a computer, an AI that does nothing but write low quality articles, or spun articles that are other articles that have already existed out there that have just been, literally run through a thesaurus, and certain words in the text of the article have been changed to other similar words and thrown out as, quote, original content, when it's just spun. And that kind of stuff is very low quality. Users that are doing a search don't want to see those kinds of websites. And when they land on it, a lot of times it's just confusing. Like, why did Google show me this? And Google understands that they don't want to be showing this kind of stuff to their users because it's just not valuable. And so SpamBrain is also doing that too. Any of the ranking manipulation kinds of content strategies that exist to try to manipulate ranking by populating all of the search results with low quality search results and sites that are just spam. It's catching a lot of that too. And we're seeing a big reduction in those kinds of sites.
Yeah, the only other site that I wish they would catch more of are some of there are some what I call ghost sites that are being used by companies like Angie's List, Home Advisor. They're legitimate websites, but they're just lead gen websites, and there's lead gen companies own them, and man, they're just starting to do a lot of weird things with them. So you may see some of those. And I'm wondering if this AI SpamBrain is going to eliminate a lot of that too, because it's another really low content situation. So I'm hoping that they're going to catch those as well. What I don't know is I know Angie's List and Home Advisor and those guys pay Google a lot of money in AdWords too. So they say they don't, that one doesn't feed the other, but I'm not convinced yet. I'm just saying that.
Well, let's throw one other part of the conversation in here just to be kind of proactive and end on this note. Just by asking the question, like, because I'm sure some people are wondering, like, okay, so Google's doing all this stuff, but what if Google catches legitimate content or content that I want people to see and flags that as being spam and hurts my site? So what can I do in order to prevent Google from marking my stuff, my legitimate content, as spam? And the answer to that question really is all about quality. Google is on a huge quality kick. The higher the quality of the content, and Google can tell now. I mean, Google understands what a well-written, well-researched sentence looks like. And when a page is put together in a specific way, Google understands this is high-quality content that viewers or users would really want to see. And so the number one thing that you can do right now and probably forevermore is create really high quality, longer form content that that Google is sure to be able to understand and perceive as being valuable and real and worth something to someone who might be using Google to search for it.
All right, so here's a great question. Can you contact Google if they take down something that is legitimate? The answer to that is there is a mechanism within Google that you can go through a reconsideration. It's a little bit, it's the same as it's been for the last 5 years. It's a little, you can get bogged down in it if you don't know exactly how to do it. So, but it is possible, but you have to go through their reconsideration. And it takes a lot of different information. There's a lot of stuff that you need to supply to them, the reasons why and all. I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. So just know that, Terry, going through. And then here's Lou said, the lead gen sites are terrible. And there's a lot of them, but he follows up with this. They're junking up the map listings. And yes, and that is true. So while we're talking about map listings and spam just a minute, one of the things that Google is really trying to crack down on, and I don't know if this is part of SpamBrain or not. I haven't read that. It wouldn't surprise me if it was, I'm just not sure. But I will tell you this. If you lose legitimate reviews, it's because Google is trying to cut down on review spam. I do know that. They're taking a lot of the reviews that are just stars only out. We've seen that recently. We've seen them take reviews that are like, great job, just real short. And so while I've got all y'all here, let me just tell you something that you could add to your reviews that will really help with your map listings as well as organic, because Google is looking at reviews uh, to rank organic sites as well. So that's an interesting thing. They have come out and said we are doing that. But one of the things that a lot of people, especially with service, have a tough time with, they have a tough time with all the little service areas that are outside of where you actually are. If you can ask people when they give reviews to list their town or their neighborhoods, like in here in Nashville, if they're in East Nashville, just say, hey, do you mind when you give a review, you mention that you're in East Nashville? Easy. Or Brentwood or wherever. So wherever you are, if you're in a township, a town, city, anything like that, that Google is picking those things up and help ranking your sites in those local areas. So that's a really good tip to kind of know and try to do.
Yeah, that is good. I would personally like to see Google have a dedicated SpamBrain set up just for map listings. Maybe
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. And we're like at 27 minutes in. So, guys, thank you so much for all the thumbs up. I'm going to read everybody that's given us one: Chuck Roydhouse, Mark Stoner, Bonnie Long, Bart Ogden, Linda Roydhouse. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And that's the algorithm for Facebook. They like the hearts, they like they like the likes. So what can we say? Terry, thank you very much. We appreciate all that. Let's see. Blue says, would it help if we mention the town and the response if the customer doesn't mention it? I think that is a great idea, Lou. I hadn't thought about that. But yes, I would say absolutely. Loved coming to East Nashville to serve you, blah, blah, blah. And everybody should be answering every single one of your reviews, good and bad. Good and bad. So have you used DALL-E? Yes, we have.
Yeah.
DALL-E.
Taylor and I had some fun trading back and forth on that one the other day. There's a new one in town, though, that I just got invited to as a beta user, and it's pretty incredible. So I can't talk about it yet, but I'll let you know as soon as they open the doors for more people, because it's the results I was seeing when I played with it. I created about 20 images yesterday, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so for those of y'all that don't know what DALL-E is, it is I call it Dally. So I was all right, Dally, I don't care. I'm Southern. That's all I got to say. But for those that don't know what that is a oh, look at that. He has to be invited too. There you go. It is a graphics AI generator. So I put in raccoon in a chimney, and it gave me all these different pictures of raccoons in a chimney, and some of them were pretty good and some of them were not. So but it's pretty awesome.
So the AI is actually creating the images.
Yes.
And again, this AI was given all sorts of images all over the web. The largest data set of images in the world is the World Wide Web.
Mm-hmm.
It was given all those images to digest and understand. And you can just give it a plain text prompt, give me Abraham Lincoln smoking a cigar, riding a unicycle, and it'll give it to you. And it's sometimes bizarre, but sometimes it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, hey, Mike, thanks for the like. Appreciate that. So just to let everybody know, if you didn't know, that SparkLive can now be found as a podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite player. And we can't wait to talk about this. We love when we get into some of the data stuff, because it's just interesting, some of the things Google's doing. If you haven't heard what first-party data is, then you're probably not part of the tech community or the SEO community, because right now everyone is talking about it. So we thought, well, if everyone's talking about it, we'll share it with you and let you know what it is and why everybody's talking about it. So thank you guys so much. Man, we so appreciate all of you. Thanks for, again, the likes. Lou Curley, thank you very much for that. we just appreciate y'all so much, and always glad to be here every week. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's right. I'm driving, right?
You're driving. And he's supposed to end this thing. I mean, I can't help it.
Okay.
We'll see you guys.
Bye, everyone. We're ending this in 3, 2,